Good afternoon and welcome to the Econ seminar organized by Asian Institute of Business and Science, which is an institute offers programs for after O-level and A-level students to pursue up to their degree program. So either you can continue the whole degree in Sri Lanka or transfer into universities in Canada, Australia, UK, and many more. So my name is Alan. I will be supporting you from here to the future until you finish your higher studies. So I want to welcome everyone and hope you have got the printouts of the tutorials. Please keep your mics mute unless the lecturer asks you to. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the lecturer who will be helping all of you today. So having a bachelor's of science in business administration, business economics, and economics special from the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. He is a highly experienced tutor at the education sector. Therefore, I ask all the students to get the highest advantage out of this lecturer. So he's really a good lecturer, and he is currently a senior lecturer at Visakha Vidyalaya, Colombo. Apart from that, a great human being and a supporter for all students, Mr. Dulip Lakshan Fernando. Sir, all to you, sir.
Right. Thank you very much, Alan. And kids, how are you? How are you, Puta? Right. Good. Good. Okay. My Putala to Mulimma, right? Can you hear me well, Putil? You can. Good. Right. I really don't want to waste your time, money, effort, right? I have to share something with you, and I want to share it as efficiently as possible, because we are doing this seminar just 1 week before your final battle, A-levels, and of course, because of COVID, you had enough time to prepare, no? But not exactly in the same way you wanted to, right? All right, Pita. I try my level best to give something to you. You have to decide in the end what kind of a value you get out of my effort. Right, first of all, right. Right. My Putala, did you get this tutorial? My Putala, you got it? Perfect. Right. Right. It contains all the basic statistics, right, which I thought that was important. And I think you can depend on it, right? Plus some of the things that I'm going to share now. Okay, Pute, right. Okay, you need this material now. Okay, right. Right over there. So I named it, trends, updates, and the subject of economics. This is what I sincerely, expect and wish. This would benefit you in every possible way, right? Okay. First of all, I want to ask a question. Did you think about this? Think about what? Right. I'll show you some questions that your senior Akis and Ayas answered in 2020 economics paper, right? So this is how you see the paper, right? So it's 2020 and paper 1, right? Okay, you can see the instructions, right? Answer all the questions, write your index number, don't write your name there, right? And don't write your name or address or contact numbers, right? And question number 1 to 50, right? You know what to do, right? Okay, Pute, look at this question. The prominent source of revenue of the central government of Sri Lanka at present is. This is the answer. Taxes on production and expenditure. It carries both VAT and excise duties. Question number 41. The solution proposed by the IMF, which was established to help countries that have balance of payments and foreign exchange reserve problems, was. Sometimes this information might not be included into your notes or books. So lending the country foreign exchange reserves through repurchase, river repurchase agreement. These are real advanced level questions, right? Of course, these questions were the questions appeared in 2020 paper, the last year paper. Question number 48. The World Bank's ease of doing business indicators. I'm just showing you the answers, right? Because I'm not interested in discussing the past paper questions today, right? Measure the ease of starting and running a business in many countries. Which, question number 49, which group correctly indicates the sectorial composition of Sri Lanka's GDP in 2018? 2018. In 2018, right? Okay. Question number 50. The top 4 countries contributed to foreign direct investment inflows in Sri Lanka in year 2018 were. Now, there are some students, some kids, right? You don't know what FDI means. So you can see now that's the way questions have been given, right? Foreign direct investments. Okay. The answer is China, Hong Kong, India, Malaysia. Right. This is the first paper. You know, there are 50 questions in the multiple choice question paper or first paper, and all these questions are compulsory, but you can choose answers, not the questions there, right? Okay. Now this is the second paper, 2020, paper 2. You can see you're given an additional reading time of 10 minutes. And during that additional reading times, you're supposed to go through the paper and decide what questions you want to answer. And there are 2 parts in the paper, subsection A, subsection B, and you must answer at least 3 questions from each of the parts. So if you choose 3 questions from part A, you can choose the remaining 2 questions from part B, or you can choose 2 questions from part A and the remaining 3 questions from part B. That is entirely up to you. Right. Again, I want to show you some questions. These questions are from the second paper, Buddha. Look at this, Buddha. Question number 7, part 4. What are the non-tax revenue sources of government of Sri Lanka in the recent years? 4 marks. I'm not going to give you answers. Huh? Answers are there in the tutorial that I have provided to you. Some. What are the major obstacles Sri Lanka encounters to achieve a rapid growth in export earnings? You need to mention what's going on now, today. Okay. Question number 8, part 2. Question number 9, part 3. Samurdhi program has had a minor and decreasing impact on poverty reduction in Sri Lanka. Do you agree with this statement of the World Bank? Give reasons for your answer. So this is about Samurdhi program, the major program that the Sri Lankan government uses to alleviate poverty. Okay, and the World Bank says it did not have a bigger impact on poverty reduction. So you have to give reasons. First, you have to mention whether you agree or not. 5 mark question. Question number 9, part 3. Question number 9, part 4. Describe how the demographic changes are imposing new challenges to social safety net for elderly population in Sri Lanka. Prior to COVID-19, the demographic change was population aging. So, and before that, we talk about, demographic dividend, increase in the working age population of the country, and working age population would increase the labor force, the labor supply, and as a result, the country one of the key factors of production called labor had gone up, and that is good for the country's economic growth and development prospects. And at the end of the demographic dividend, we have population aging, which is a kind of a challenge. And now we have COVID-19, which mainly affects the senior citizens of countries. So this question number 9, part 4. Question number 10, part 1. What is the 4th industrial revolution? Is Sri Lanka ready to face it? Explain your answer. So you need to know something practical to respond to this question. Question number 10, part 2. Describe briefly the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic on Sri Lanka. 5 marks. Next. Sri Lanka has failed to sustain high growth rate over extended periods of time. Prove this statement and give reasons for the underperformance of Sri Lankan economy. So why the Sri Lankan economy doesn't perform well? The reasons. You have to give few reasons. And it's a 5-mark question. Next, question number 10, part 3. The development experience of Sri Lanka since independence clearly illustrates that economic policies have often been determined not by their efficacy, but by ideological considerations. Explain this statement with examples. So you are a student, child in Sri Lanka, right? So you have lived now 16, 17, 18 years in this country. So there is a part of the experience that you have. Plus, what about your parents say, your grandparents say, or what do you read in books, articles, right? Since independence, what happened in Sri Lanka, what went wrong, or what went right? So you need to jot down 5 marks. Next, okay. So that is just one paper, right? Okay, just one more paper. Okay, Puta. 2019 economics paper. 2019 new syllabus. I only consider these 2 papers, Puta, right? Because my major concern is not doing this, but I want your attention. I want you to understand that what we are going today is very important, right? So this is 2019 paper, Puta, right? And the first paper. I'll show you some questions in that paper. Question number 35 again. The biggest component of government recurrent expenditure in Sri Lanka at present is, answer, interest payments. I can remember when I was doing A-levels, we had the same question, but then we chose wages and salaries. Can remember? So now for you, you can't choose that. It's interest payments. Next, question number 42. At present, the value of an SDR consists of weighted value of 5 major currencies. Chinese yuan was introduced to it 3 years ago. So now there are 5 currencies used to measure the value of a unit of special drawings right. The nominal currency used by IMF in its major operations and dealing with its member countries. And the 5 currencies are put US dollar, British pound, Japanese yen, euro, and Chinese yuan. Okay. Actually, this question was inserted to the paper because many students did not know that Chinese yuan was introduced to measure the weighted value of SDR. Okay, right. Next, how many sustainable development goals have been agreed by all nations as part of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development? 17 sustainable development goals are there. Good. Question number 44. According to the Household Income and Expenditure Survey 2016, poverty headcount index for urban, rural sectors of Sri Lanka respectively. So everybody knows poverty headcount index for the nation. But for these sectors, urban, rural, right? You can't guess and put, right? So 1.9%, 4.3%. And the top 3 sectors contributed to foreign exchange earning of Sri Lanka in recent years are employee remittances, textiles, and garments and tourism. Right? Okay. And this is the second paper. Few questions again. 2019. Question number 8, part 1. Name 4 main items each for exports and imports of Sri Lanka. The major exporting items, major importing items of our country. The real answers, 4 marks. Question number 8, part 4. Explain the reasons for the sharp depreciation of the Sri Lankan rupee relative to the American dollar during the latter part of 2018. Look at this question, right? So they're expecting, explain the reasons. The sharp depreciation of the Sri Lankan rupee relative to the American dollar during the latter part of 2018. Understood? Question number 8, part 4. Question number 8 means, Puta, normally you get questions from chapter 9 and chapter 10, international trade and international finance. Okay. Then my Puta, question number 9, part 2. What is meant by social protection? Name 3 major components of social protection program in Sri Lanka. Currently implemented. You can't write social protection programs implemented in 1970s or 1980s. Up to date information here, right? Question number 9, part 4. What are the reasons for the existence of a larger gender gap in the labor force participation rate of Sri Lanka? Labor force participation rate, we normally calculate labor force divided by the working age population multiplied by 100. And we can calculate it separately for male and female. And what we see, labor force participation rate for males exceed the labor force participation rate for females. And this question wants to know the reasons, the real reasons. Next, question number 10, part 1. Briefly discuss Sri Lanka's performance in recent years with respect to the achievement of economic growth and public debt sustainability. So, challenging question. Since these questions are challenging, students normally don't choose to answer this, right? I know some students even don't look at these questions. That's what they think, right? So they have target set of questions. I'll tell you about that later, right? Okay. Question number 10, part 2. What factors have prevented Sri Lanka from progressing towards high income country status? You know, we were a low income country, and then we became lower middle income country, and then we managed to move upper middle income country, and in 2019, 2020, again we fallen back to where we were. That means lower middle income country again. Still, we have not, our country, we couldn't say it as a part of, the name in the high income country status. Never. Why? Many countries who are with us, right, the same development status, now they have exceeded our performances, right? Question number 10, part 3. Sri Lanka has been listed as one of the countries most vulnerable to climate change. You can see me. Economic questions, climate change, like social studies. Briefly describe the possible impact of climate-induced disasters on the country's GDP and public finances. Nobody expects questions like these on A-level paper for economics. And briefly explain the key feature of China's Belt and Road Initiative and its economic implications of Sri Lanka. Okay. What about for GCA level 2021 Econ paper? Unfortunately, I don't have it, so I can't show it. Right? Okay. So now, have you understood these current trends are important? Wait, you would say, sir, I'm not going to answer question number 9, question number 10. Yeah. What about MCQs then? You ignore those MCQs as well? 5, 6, 7, 8. No. Right. Okay. So you need to know, Buddha, as a student, right? You have given you everything now, right? So I don't want to put you down. You have worked hard. So this is something to gain clarity. Okay. Buddha, you get 4 kinds of questions in your paper for economics. First category, theoretical questions. For an example, why there is a negative slope for the demand curve, but positive slope in the supply curve. So you need to mention the theoretical reasons behind the shape of the curves, which means you have to give the reasons for the law of demand and law of supply there, theoretical. Then numerical questions. The following contains some of the figures in national accounting figures. Question number 1, find gross value added at basic price, find GDP at market price, GNI at market price. So numerical questions. Next, and students think that they have only theoretical and numerical questions. But Pute, there are some questions, statistical questions. Statistical questions are, they'll ask, what is the economic growth rate of Sri Lanka? What is the per capita income? What is the savings rate of Sri Lanka? What is the sectorial composition of Sri Lanka for agriculture, industry, service, output-wise, employment-wise? Statistical and practical. Why? What are the new challenges the Sri Lankan economy faces because of this COVID-19? Practical. So in today's explanation today, I'm going to give you few statistical experience and practical understanding. I can't explain theoretical or numerical questions today because that is not the main theme. Have you understood what we have to do? Do you know? Idea එකක් තියෙනවද දැන්? හරි sir, වැඩේ හරි. තේරුණා? අපි දෙන්නම වැඩේ නියමයි. Right. Relax එකේ ඉන්න හරිද? මම වැඩේ කරන්නම් පුළුවන් විදියට. මට පොඩි support එකක් දෙන්න. Right. Good. Stages of this work. Actually, when I planned, I had to plan this in a different way. So this is what I thought, and this is what I have done here, right? The first I have provided in the tutorial, the first part, recent statistics, right? All the major statistics that I thought that would be important, I tried to put there so that you can refer. Second, I have given some selected practical structured essay questions and answers. So most of these answers we complete now. And Pute, at the end of this seminar, tonight or tomorrow morning, you can do an MCQ paper. It has 50 multiple choice questions, fully updated. So I want you to do only if you like, right? Do those 50 questions, and then I will send you your marks and the answers. Right, Pute, I will give details on MCQ paper later. Right, Magaputala, I'm going to start with part 2. Part 1 I explained now, right? Recent statistics. Now, where can we find these statistics? Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is what? Chapter 5 can mona part. Chapter 5 means what? Appu. Huh? Very good, very good, very good. System of national accounts or national accounting. Normally it has theoretical and numerical questions, but there can be some practical questions. Not much, but can be. Okay, Puta? Good. Right. Then chapter number 7. Competency 7 kya mokadda? Money, banking, general price level, Central Bank of Sri Lanka, monetary policy. Neda Pute? There are also practical things are there. Right? Good. And this is public sector economics. We study government interventions, market failure, government budget, government revenue, government expenses. Neither. Right. Good. And competency 9, international trade. Competency 10, international finance. So what's the difference between these two? In international trade lesson, Puta, we mainly study absolute advantage, comparative advantage, and then we study the trade pattern, importing, exporting pattern, right? Terms of trade, our main trade agreements, we study them, right, Puta? Right. Then international finance, what do we study? Balance of payments, foreign exchange rate, external reserves, foreign investments, right? So kind of a challenging part for majority of the students. Competency level, Puta, economic growth and development. It's highly diversified. There we learn economic growth, economic development, sustainable development, human development, poverty, income inequality, labor force employment, unemployment, and many more. And finally, Competency 12. Sri Lankan economy since independence and the global economy and the trends. So now you can see more than half of the syllabus carries basically macroeconomic parts, right? Lots of chapters where statistics, practicals, and updated trends can be tested. Right. I told you that I'm starting with the second part. Okay, right. Selected structured essay questions and answers. So, my putala, now please get your tutorial and turn to page number 13. Page number 13. Ready? Ready to start? Okay. Right. Can I start then? Good. There you can see these questions. Question number 1. Briefly explain the major measures, because 2020 they asked the major impacts of COVID-19. This year now this is about if I make the paper, right? Briefly explain major measures taken by the Sri Lankan government to deal with COVID-19 outbreak with examples. Putala, we can classify the major policy actions of our government to deal with COVID-19 under 3 categories. First, broader control and health sector policies, health related. Second one, fiscal policy measures, which means government changes, taxes, government other forms of revenues, government expenses, its composition, size, direction, and budget positions. Sometimes what on accounts when we didn't have a budget, right? And government borrowings, debt, sovereign bond issues, fiscal policy issues. Next one, monetary and financial policy measures together with foreign exchange management. There we learn, our external reserve position, increase in money supply or decrease in money supply, and change in interest rate and other policy rates, statutory reserve ratio, bank discount rate, interest rate corridor, and foreign exchange management. So these are the 3 lines of policies. Broader control of health sector policies, health. Second, fiscal policy measures. Third, monetary and financial policy plus foreign exchange management. Okay, my puta, right, I'll show you the tube. Tube එක නැති දරුවෝ ඉන්නවද දන්නේ නැහනේ. මගේ පුතාලා now go there, right? So it's page number 13 නේද? මං කිව්වේ page number 13 කියලානේ. Right, page number 13. Right. Lots of statistics there නේද? මේ තියෙන්නේ page number 13. Sample questions, right? So now those who have got the tubes, puta, you can write down your answers here now. Broader control of health and health sector policies, puta, you can write this down. And those who don't have the tube, now I have shown you the structure of the tube, puta. You can download the tube and you can get the tube from somebody later. Now it's very important for you to write this down because for your later reference. Right. So that's how we do our work, right? Okay. Okay, puta. First one, broader control and health sector policies. Examples, what? Lockdowns. Government implemented lockdowns like 3 waves, right? And mobility restrictions. Setting mobility restrictions. Health protocols. How many health protocols issued by the Ministry of Health, and vaccination programs and awareness programs. So broader control and health sector policies implemented by the Sri Lankan government. You don't have to write all, okay? Be smart. You just show the person who is marking your paper that you have read the question, you have understood the question, and you have knowledge, and you show it, right? lockdowns, mobility restrictions, health protocols, vaccination programs, awareness programs. Right, Oputa? Now what? Can I change? My putala liya gattad? Right. Good. Okay, Pute. Now, good, very good. Ogula podi support ekak denna ona mata honde. Fiscal policy measures. Now what? Fiscal policy measures means what the Sri Lankan government did, very special implementing its budget. Various tax concessions. Government couldn't impose taxes in the way it planned, you know, tax concessions had to be given, reliefs. Then introduction of maximum retail prices for selected essential food items and certain medical items. Now, of course, maximum retail prices have been removed. No, today morning I saw the maximum retail prices of water bottles also has been removed. So which means now producers can mark whatever the price they want, right? But in 2019 and 2020 beginning to the maximum retail prices were set for some selected food items and certain medical items. Third one, cash grant for rupees 5,000 for low income families and individuals. Rupial panda hedi manawa. Right? Cash grant of rupees 5,000 for low income families and individuals. Next, Agrahara Insurance. There is a type of insurance called Agrahara Puta that is mainly given for government employees. And that Agrahara Insurance benefits were double for health, police, other civil defense employees and government employees working in hospitals. Right? Because they are the real heroes. No, Pute, the last 2-3 years, how many lives they managed to save. Next, spending on preventive measures on COVID-19, government implemented with its expenses, and COVID-19 healthcare social security fund. COVID-19 aramudala kiyala mataka de dawas. COVID-19 healthcare and social security fund, and fuel price stabilization fund. Now we don't know where these funds are. Don't ask. I don't know. Right? So meva thama teenawada. Right. Okay. Understood? Right. Right. Good. Very good. So mage putala de monada mataka tiya ganna ona. Tax concessions, fiscal policy, right? Tax and maximum retail prices for some essential food items, medical items, and rupees 5,000. And Agrahara Insurance, Agrahara, right? And it's mainly for government servants, health, police, and defense. It was doubled. Right. So government service and preventive measures on COVID-19 and fund, COVID-19 fund, and fuel price stabilization fund. You know, when you write these kinds of names in your answer, the reader knows, oh my God, this child reads newspapers. This child is highly updated. That's the impression you give, okay? Right? Good. Yeah, Salma, I will answer you, Puta. Wait, darling. After this session, I will definitely give you the information that is available with me. Okay, right. Good. Next, monetary and financial policy measures. What? Lowering standing deposit facility rate, lowering standing lending facility rate, lowering statutory reserve ratio, lowering the bank rate or bank discount rate or prime rate, implementing debt moratorium, giving more grace period, and implementing concessionary loans such as Saubhagya, COVID-19, Renaissance Facility, new comprehensive rural credit scheme, 2 newly implemented concessionary loans targeting small and medium scale enterprises. and suspending the importation of vehicles. So these were some monetary policy measures put in. So you can see all these rates put are lowered. Neither standing deposit facility rate was lowered. Standing lending facility rate lowered. Statutory reserve ratio lowered. Bank rate lowered. So these are called put the policy rates. So you can see all these are lowered, which means we are moving towards low interest rate regime. Okay, good, good. Yes, definitely, right. When interest rate is lowered, government wants money supply to go up, credit capacity to go up. So it's definitely expansionary. And expansionary monetary policy is implemented with the view of making the market more liquid so people have more money. But remember, there is a danger. What is the danger of increasing money supply? What is the danger of having an expansionary monetary policy if that expansion is uncontrollable? Very good, very good. Inflation. That I will have to explain it in next year, year after next, A-level kids. When I do a seminar like this, I will have to explain that. But for now, good, very good. Right. Finish. Right. හරි නේද පුතේ? මේ වචන මගේ පුතාලා මතක තියාගන්න. Moratorium. And this සෞභාග්‍ය කියන්නේ ගැල්ලමෙක්ගේ නම නෙමෙයි හොඳේ. සෞභාග්‍ය COVID-19 Renaissance Facility and new comprehensive rural credit scheme. හරි නේද මගේ පුතේ? And suspending of the importation of vehicles. Good. Finished? චුට්ටක් ඉක්මනට ලියමු. Okay, then you will. Good. Very good. Now, of course, no, you are the seniors, no, you are quite familiar with this online education. I think your writing speed has gone up. But the thing is, writing endurance, no? You can't write for a long period of time because you used to type, no? That's the problem. Good. Yes. Grade 14 now, no? True. Mampute, can I change? Question number 2. What? Name few indices that are considered by foreign investors when they choose to make an investment in an economy. Right? Foreign investors, they invest in a country because they have certain protocols. They find, okay, what has been happening in that country, and they don't believe in the country's domestic information, because domestic information is always manipulated, right? And you need to explain those indices and explain Sri Lankan performance with respect to them, considering the latest rankings. So Puta, this question is about few indices considered by foreign investors. Okay, so they choose to, when they choose to make an investment, they consider, and I want you to explain them in very brief. And Sri Lankan performance, right? So this is how I approach my answer. Indices investors consider, Puta, mainly four indices are important. First, ease of doing business index. Ease of doing business index. Mage putala gawa tute එක නැත්නම් මම ආයි පෙන්නන්නම්, because I have to think of every child, every child is special. That is the principle number 1 in teaching, right? මෙන්න මේ වගේ තැනක තමයි මම පුතාලට ලියා ගන්න තියෙන්නේ, right? Indices number 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right. Ease of doing business index, that's number 1. Number 2, global competitiveness index. Ease of doing business index. Second, global competitiveness index. Third one, corruption perception index. Corruption perception index. The last one, index of economic freedom. Index of economic freedom. So, Putala, you can see the names of 4 indices. Normally, these are very important and becoming popular. Also, right? Ease of doing business index. Balanna matakada kiyala Putalata. Ease of doing business index. Okay. Second one, global competitiveness index. Third one, corruption perception index. The last one, index of economic freedom. Right. Now, Puta, I will give a quick summary on this. Ease of doing business index. First one, this mainly measures the degree of convenience at which businesses can be started and run. Putala, you don't need to write this. Make a mage Putala liyanone ne. Ayye. No need to write this. Okay, I have given because I have to keep you in a fresh mood, right? So that you can use your highlighter, or if you have a hard copy highlighter, circle, whatever that you can do, right? Okay. Now, so ease of doing business index measures Puta the degree of convenience at which businesses can be started and operated in countries, and this is compiled by World Bank Group. Compiled by, right? And what does it interpret? When you get 0 as the score, which means it's very easy, good. 100 means very hard, bad, not easy. An index carries some 10 items, like such as how to register a business process, and how to acquire lands, opening bank accounts, getting electricity, water, those things. According to this index, Pute, the top 5 in 2020, the countries were New Zealand, Singapore, Hong Kong, Denmark, South Korea. So I show you these questions right now. That is why my first thing was to show you the real A-level questions. And didn't you have questions like this? Didn't you have the names of other countries? Huh? You had only the name of Sri Lanka in A-level paper. Didn't you see other names? You saw, right? The questions I showed you today. That's why I started like that. So I have already given you the proof. Now, I don't know whether these names are given because I did not make the paper now, right? But who knows, right? This is ease of doing business index. Okay, right. Next on Puta, global competitiveness index. The second one, the ability of a nation to compete with other countries in the world, exporting, attracting foreign investments, those. Ability of a nation to compete with the rest of the world. And this is compiled by World Economic Forum. Here 0 means not competitive, bad. 100 means very competitive, good. So normally there is a value in between 0 and 100. An index content Puta, global competitiveness contains 4 major parts Puta. Having the right kind of investment environment, human capital the country has, and the market's competitiveness, openness, free nature, and innovation ecosystem. Does the country have a kind of an ecosystem and well-established system to promote innovations, right? And these were the top 5 for year 2019. Singapore, USA, Hong Kong, Netherlands, Switzerland. Okay, global competitiveness index. Right. Next, third one, corruption perception index. So this index measures how corrupt each country's public sector is perceived to be according to the citizens, experts, and businessmen. This index is based on Puta perception. Now, for an example, if I ask, tell me about the Sri Lankan government according to what you have understood. Is it corrupted or not? Your perception. Because if these people call you and ask, what do you perceive? Huh? Fully corrupted, very, even right. It's better that they did not ask you then. Huh? Good. That is based on perception. Very good. Right. So this is compiled by Transparency International. There is an institution called Transparency International. They are basically working to eliminate corruption of all kinds, starting with the government level. And Pute, interpretation 0, highly corrupt, very bad. 100, very clean. Good. Index. This is Pute, opinion-based criteria, right? Do you think for an example, do you think your public officers don't misuse the public money, or do they use their employees' physical resources, money for selfish purposes? They ask questions like that. And the top 5 countries for 2021, Denmark, Finland, New Zealand, Norway, Singapore. Okay. So the top 5, Denmark, Finland, New Zealand, Norway, Singapore. The last one, my Pute, Index of Economic Freedom, right? We study this Index of Economic Freedom regarding economic systems, right? Very especially free market economic systems. We speak of economic freedom, freedom to choose, freedom to enterprise. So degree of economic freedom that can be seen in economics. So when there is an economic freedom, which means we all have the freedom to participate into economic activities. Doing a job, doing a business, saving, investing, moving, acquiring properties, those. And this is compiled by the Heritage Foundation. And 0 means repressed, suppressed, bad, no freedom. 100 means fully free. And Index of Economic Freedom, this is closely related to good governance as well. Rule of law, the size of the government, regulatory efficiency, open markets. Index of Economic Freedom. You don't have to write anything, Puta, because I have given you a tutorial, right? The top 5 of 2021, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, Switzerland, Ireland. If I'm not mistaken, I saw the name Singapore in all 4 indices in top 5, right or wrong? It wasn't at the Singapore. Now, so that's why it has become a role model. Small country. Look at where it is today. Good. Sri Lankan performance. I think you can remember the question, no? Question had A, B, C. C, Sri Lankan performances. Ease of doing business. 99th in 2020. You know what it says? Medium is. Not easy. Not easy. Right? Pute, I am giving you the latest information here, right? Because in an MCQ, of course, they might ask 2019 or 2018, but they definitely ask 2020, 2019, 2020, right? In that, but for structured essay, you can write this, Puta. But in MCQs only, they'll ask something, specifically 2018, 2019, right? Next, Global Competitiveness Index Pute in 2019, we were ranked 84th position, right? 84. Not competitive. Not competitive. And one thing, now, the makers of the paper, everybody knows that examination was delayed, right? So this is 2021 A levels, but you do in 2022. Okay, that has never happened, right? So you need to be very careful right here. Sometimes, normally you're supposed to get 2019 figures. That's why I've given 2019 and 2020 statistics both in the tutorial. I think you must have seen that. For you, the most important data must come from 2019. But even 2020 annual reports and other reports have been released. If you can't consider up-to-date information in the paper, then they should give you marks and they should ask even 2020 figures. So please, it's kind of challenging, right? Okay, corruption perception index 102nd, which means more corrupt. Balan අපිට තියෙන තැන පිටරට ease of doing business, medium, not easy. Are we competitive? Not competitive. Are we corrupted? Yes. Next, index of economic freedom, Appa 131st. Mostly unfree, not free. So tell me, do we have a good international image? When you look at this, do we have good international image? No, we don't. So now, keep all these things in the background of your knowledge. This is about the country, this beautiful country where we have been, all have been born, right? We all have a kind of a responsibility here, but currently this is where we are. Right? Currently. Okay, Magipute. Question number 3. Name the main areas that must be developed to attract foreign investments into Sri Lankan economy. This is a highly topical, relevant question. Right. I'll show you the tune. Page number 16 here. You need to write your answers here. Okay, right. Question number 3. Name the main areas that must be developed to attract foreign investments into Sri Lanka. What are the main areas? Right. Number 1, write down what? Assuring macroeconomic stability, including low and stable inflation. Investors mainly consider macroeconomic stability, and in that list, they mainly consider the rate of inflation and its behavior. Write down this quickly, my putta. Assuring macroeconomic stability, including low and stable inflation. Low and stable inflation. Second one, eliminating labor market rigidities, barriers, labor mobility, and skill mismatch. So remember, Putta, the first point is about attracting foreign investors. First, we have to have macroeconomic stability. Second one is about labor market, making labor market more efficient, more competitive. Human capital relations. Okay, Putta? Right. Third one, you don't need to use the same names that I have used, okay? You are creative, you are more talented, okay? So use better, attractive, simple, beautiful, powerful words. Then, having stable and strong government with consistent policies. Stable, strong government with consistent policies. Of course, we have now stable and strong government, but the problem is consistency in the policies, no? Right. Number 4, implementing simple and effective tax system. What kind of a tax system we have? Sri Lankan tax system is very weak. Very weak. It has lots of drawbacks. Right? Next, Number 5, promoting free trade with less tariff and non-tariff barriers. Promoting free trade, trade liberalization, in other words, promoting free trade. Number 6, Pute, ICT adaptation to both private and public sectors. ICT adaptation for both private and public sectors. There are 2 more. Finish writing these 6. I'm looking at this chat box. We'll do a little bit faster, right? So that we can maintain our fresh nature. Huh? Good, good, very good. Yeah, I think very good. And remember, in the exam, you have to balance the speed and the clarity, okay? Don't think this is my handwriting, I can read. You're not going to read it, no? Right? You have to read it. You have to write your paper in a way somebody that doesn't know you would easily recognize what you have written, okay? Sorry, Put, I'm just, I have a target. I must achieve it. I'm powerful. Right, good. Okay. And I told you there are 2 more. First one, write down, Puta. The number 7, implementing an efficient legal system. Implementing an efficient legal system. An efficient legal system. Next, the last one, Puta. Establishing an infrastructure network. Establishing an infrastructure network covering all 9 provinces of the country. Covering all 9 provinces of the country. So, Puta, this is a kind of a predictable question. And suppose you don't get this question, but look at its content. Macroeconomic stability, labor market, strong government with consistent policies, effective tax system, promoting free trade, using ICT for private and public sector affairs, and proper legal system, infrastructure. Of course, you don't have an economy without this, right? Understood? Good. Right. Question number 4, Pute. Last point I can repeat. Last point was, Puta, establishing an infrastructure network covering the whole island. Infrastructure network. Now, foreign investments can be tested in several places. First, if they ask FDI, foreign direct investments, that can be a part of competency 10, international finance. Or if they want to ask foreign investments regarding economic growth, development, then they can ask the last 2 questions, chapter 9 or chapter 10. Sorry, question number 9 or question number 10. Okay, right. Now, list down advantages and limitations of work from home that became a trend during COVID-19 pandemic. So this is a major economic shift in Sri Lanka. Major. Work from home. So right. Okay, now I'm going to give you a small break. Right? Anyway, not that I'm you a break, I'm taking a break. Right? Okay, please read this. I have given you the answer, right? Advantages of working from home. advantages and limitations of work from home. So advantages to employees, to employers. Read these points. Mama kiyawanne naha. How this benefits employees? Because this is a massive labor market transformation in Sri Lanka. Right? We did not have it before. Other countries had already. And to employers, so you can clearly see, Puta, that there are advantages. And should you write all? No, no, no. 2 points, 3 points, depending upon the size of the question and the size of the allocated marks. Don't write too much and don't write too less. It's like basically how you drive. Not too fast, not too slow. Putala, what about the bad side of it? Limitations. That's the thing. Every time, in Econ, suppose you say something, okay, something is good. Economic way of thinking means you should find few reasons to find out the other side. It's good, and in which ways it can be bad. Because economics is a subject where we find both costs and benefits of the decisions. Okay, right. Now read the limitations. First point says some jobs you can't do while working from home. You can't, and some jobs you have paperwork procedures, and of course you don't have ICT infrastructure, the literacy needed to do work your job being working from home. And then some jobs require person-to-person communication contacts, and some jobs require consistent, close personal supervision. And yes, lack of focus, motivation, because when you're at home, of course, it's your environment, right? So it's too familiar to you then, right? Lack of productivity, because home is, tell me, home, in your home, you have distractions or don't, you don't have distractions. Huh? Gedara nikam prashna nadda niyan distractions nadda. Right? Okay. Then next, conflicts in work and household responsibilities. And poor infrastructure, network facilities, absence of face-to-face monitoring. These are some limitations. This is a long shot, right? But I just, even with common sense, I guess, you can develop your answer, sometimes writing brilliantly than what I have put here, right? Okay, good. Right. Question number 5. Briefly examine the economic consequences of lockdowns due to COVID-19. Now, lockdown means mobility is restricted. The normal lifestyle has been challenged. So I have given you the answers there. Please highlight this. Our nominal GDP slowed down, right? GDP couldn't grow at the normal speed. And foreign exchange earning, especially trade and tourism, decreased. And exchange rate stability, we lost it. And investors they lost the confidence that they had in us. Poor investor confidence. Next, government revenue remarkably went down, but government expenses increased, and as a result, government borrowings increased. For the first time since 2009, our unemployment rate exceeded 5%. And poverty increased. Central Bank of Sri Lanka introduced some regulations and policies to protect individuals and small and medium scale businesses. So some points. CBSL introduced some regulations and policies. Some economic consequences of lockdowns, right? Right. Question number 6. Briefly examine the health and educational outcomes of COVID-19. I mainly consider these things, right? First, with COVID-19 pandemic, the vulnerability of those who suffer from diabetics, chronic respiratory diseases, cancers, cardiovascular diseases increased. So they say COVID-19 is quite fatal for those who suffer from these chronic diseases. Then all these you can find in your tube, right? The regular medical care of sick people was disrupted. Why? They couldn't get it properly because of lockdowns and mobility restrictions. So their health status couldn't be monitored. Next, overcrowding of hospitals with the surge of COVID-19 cases, less priority was given to other health issues. So surgeries couldn't be done. The regular checkups couldn't be monitored, couldn't be continued. Mental stress due to mobility restrictions, social isolation, sudden loss of family members, loss of livelihoods. Okay, if I ask, what about your mental stress? You didn't face anything like this during last 2 years? What about, don't you have mental stress at the moment? Okay, nobody sees, I only see the answer. You lost your school life. No friends. Lots of things you missed. So that is one of the reasons I decided to do things like this, because I have been teaching since 2003, right? This is the most hardest that I've ever found, because look at how long you have been doing A-levels. Anyway, remember, you're much more stronger than all these pressures. Okay, you will get all these, good times you lost, you will get them. Don't worry, right? So you have to be really happy, and you should be really grateful, because still we are breathing. The world faced a massive blow, many lost their lives, but still we are breathing. Right. Number 5, mental health issues. Workers who have been working under immense pressure for longer period under difficult working conditions. One of the doctors, who is a good friend of mine, told me he had to run a motivation program for his staff. He says, my staff is thoroughly exhausted. Immense pressure, right? Responses maruputa, but pay attention now. Right. Impacts on education. Of course, online education became very popular, right? And then, but anyway, do you think that everybody got online education properly? You represent the Western province mostly. Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, resourceful areas. What about other areas? They have not covered the syllabuses. No, right? Insufficient teachers who have online teaching knowledge and resources, lack of infrastructure. So number 3, delays in examinations and increased student frustration. Something about you, ne? I think happy point. Next, change in students' lifestyles and increased physical and mental sicknesses. lifestyles. Now, at what time you get up these days? When you had school, you had to go to school by 7:30. Then here to then what is the average time getting up? Good. So lifestyle change, no, Buddha. Because of exams and all, you study, you get up in the morning, no? It changed everything. So when our lifestyle changes, definitely we can't be a good performer, right? Good. Addictions to mobile phones and digital entertainment. Is there anybody who can say, sir, I'm not addicted to phone or mobile phones? Can you say it? Sir, mama phone eකට addict වෙලා නැහැ. ඕන අපේ අම්මගෙන් අහන්න. Right. Okay, you know. ඒක තමයි මගේ පුතාලා දැන් after A levels you have to get rid of this mobile phone little bit, okay? Because there is a life beyond that. Okay, there's a life beyond that. You have to just after this, because you have to do online classes and just get rid of it, control its use. Because there's a life, there's a definite life. Because now only I use these mobile phones, the life I had and life your parents, grandparents had, just there's a life beyond this. Go and find that life. Don't just restrict yourself to a small, you know, device called mobile phone or in computers. One student is asking about postponing A levels. I don't think that it would happen because examination department is fully prepared to do the A levels, but up to a certain extent it is kind of legitimate, you know, but the person who made that open that case, he should have done it a little bit earlier. Now just 1 week before the exam, that doesn't work, no? Right. Right, okay, get a small break. Alan, are you there, Puta?
Yes, sir.
පුතාලට මොනවද කියන්න තියෙනවා නම් ඉක්මනට කියන්න 5 minutes වගේ මට ආයි දරුවන්ට ඉක්මනට කතා කරන්න ඕන පැටව ටික. හරිද?
Okay, sir.
අපි පුතා කරන්න පුළුවන් ඉක්මනට කරලා මට දෙන්න ඕන 4-5 minutes max.
All right, sir.
Stay, because we have lots of things to discuss and the MCQ paper details පුතාට මම ඔක්කොම ටික කියන්න. හරි? Right. Alan, do you do anything?
So what I was hoping is like we'll just give them a small brief, but I'll give them a brief after the teaching, after you teach.
You mean after this class?
Yes.
Then they must be exhausted, Puta, because you know, they have to do lots of things. They have to listen, you know.
Yes. All right. So just give me 1 minute, then students, I'll get back.
Okay, then if you have not arranged your work, I can just do one question. Then during that time, you can.
Yeah. Okay, that would be great, sir.
Good, no?
Yeah.
Right. Some students have asked questions. I will answer them. Target oriented, right? Sir, will our papers be so tough? Puta, look at this diagram I'm drawing here, right? Normally, a paper has a standard. Okay. In some years, the standard is lowered. In some other years, standard is raised. This is done. But there is an expected range. Now, you expect this. But my experience as a teacher tells me papers can be sometimes, you know, easier. Some other times it's harder. Right? So we don't know. So we all think this time the paper should be easier. That's anyway not this time, right? every student says, okay, paper එක ලේසි වෙනවා නම් හොඳයි. Right? It depends on the composition of the questions given. Right? Now, what is the difference between an easy question and a difficult or a hard question, Puta? My Putala kiyane කොහොමද? Putte? Will the exam get postponed due to petition? I don't think, Puta. Now it's too late. I don't think. Mama එක හිතන්නේ නැහැ. එම උනෝතින් එක ලොකු අපරාධයක් මේ ළමයින්ට කරන. Right? Yeah. Right. ඔගොල්ලෝ මාර ප්‍රශ්නනේ යන්නේ. Right. I don't want to get deviated, right? But anyway, I'll answer questions, right? Okay. Now, Puta, easy and hard questions are like this. On the Tahagan. How do you distinguish between the two? Right? On the Balaga. Anyway, most of the time, you know, it's personal. It's personal. If you have come across certain things and if you get the question from those same areas, it's easier for you. But generally, easy questions are direct, which means in your mind, there's a place called memory. There is a place called comprehension. You have understood. So what you do for easy questions, copy, paste. But you can remember what you have studied, okay, and you think and write the same thing. So it's direct response. So these questions are quite easier because you don't have to make much value addition during the paper time. Did you understand? What is law of demand? Briefly explain substitution effect. So difficult questions. Hard. Hard, difficult. So they are indirect. Meaning, you have to go to various places of your memory to find it. And you have to combine them. You can't do copy pasting. You do copy, you do cut, you make lots of value additions, you make lots of changes, and then you paste it. So you don't like this process because you can't just directly borrow it from there. That's the simple difference between an easy paper and easy question and a hard question. Right? Now listen, you have to MCQ paper. Now again, now this is doing part now. And now you think, okay, sometimes some students think like kings after doing paper. ගෙදර ගිහලා කියනවා අම්මට දුන්නා පේපර් එක ලිව්ව එකම තමා කරේ. මගේ පේපර් එක උස්සන්න ගිහලා පේපර් එක එකතු කරන්න අපු ටීචර්ගේ බෙල්ලත් උලුක් වුණා. Why? It was that heavy. So paper is thinking, oh my god, you wrote that much. Okay. So there is a process, Puta, after this. You hand over the paper and you go home. The paper goes backward. There is a thing called marking. In marking, they use several things. Question paper, marking scheme. And this is your answer sheet. Hari? Then, in marking scheme, they have given certain methodologies, certain objective facts. So when the paper maker makes this and paper marker, right, gets the marking scheme, question paper, and compares, give you marks. Normally you lose marks for the mistakes you have made. That's what happened. 4-mark question, you don't get 4, you get 3. Next question, you get 2, you lost 2. And after that you get 1, you lost 3. And the next one is completely wrong. All 4 you lost. So you have to find out ways to write answers so that you don't lose marks. That's the thing. If there's a question of 4 marks, you have to develop an answer that will make you deserve all 4 marks. Shehan, are you ready?
Yes, Mr. Dulip.
Okay. Uta, then, okay. How many minutes does it take, darling?
Give me like 5 minutes, Mr.
Okay.
Dulip. I will quickly talk to them.
Okay. You're doing it now, right?
Yes, I will be doing it right
Okay.
now.
Okay. Okay. Kids, I will answer your questions later.
Hi, everyone. I hope all of you can hear me. I'm Shehan. I'm the Manager Marketing from Asian Institute of Business and Science. First, I would like to thank Mr. Dulip and Alan for organizing this wonderful session. Even I've been listening from the beginning. I'm coming from a science background, but still it caught my attention, and I've been listening from the beginning. Mr. Dulip is doing a great job and highlighting all the points that you need to consider and get ready for your upcoming examination. One of the reasons that we wanted to arrange this session was because we know you guys lost a lot of time. You guys didn't get the chance, as we used to do, not to engage with your revision classes, get to engage with your class teachers. You had to do most of the lectures online. And that's why we thought we will do something like this, so that this will help you to make it up and identify what are the hard parts that you need to especially focus on, because when we were also doing A levels, there is not enough time to cover the 100% full syllabus sometimes. But if you can at least grab 75%, 80% clearly and understand, and do at least 10 years of past papers and do some model papers and identify the trends, then you are in a good position to face the examination. And that's exactly what Mr. Dulip is doing here. So take the maximum out of it. And I think Alan gave a small introduction about our institute, AIBS campus. And I know some of you know about Asian Institute of Business and Science, or what we call AIBS campus, because there are some students who are currently enrolled in our programs with pending results, who are currently joined in this session as well. So AIBS, we have a section called post-secondary, and we have a section called pre-university. The post-secondary section is for after A-level students who want to get a professional qualification to carry out their studies either in Sri Lanka or in abroad. When I'm saying abroad, you can fast track your higher education in countries like UK, Australia, Canada, USA, New Zealand. So one of the main qualification that I wanted to talk to you about today is our Pearson BTech HND in business. This is what I'm talking about. And this is just to give a summary, because most of us, the first goal when we are doing A levels is to get selected to a state university. As when I was doing my A levels, that was my target as well. And but not all of us get the chance to select it into a state university because of the competition. Sometimes we get good results, we get 3 A's, we get 2 A's, 1 B, and still we doesn't get exactly what we want. So this is why we have developed such qualifications for you to enhance your practical theory, like how to apply the knowledge that you are learning when it comes to business management, accounting, finance, marketing, digital marketing. All of these programs that we are conducting at AIBS, everything are very industrial exposed programs. So any of you who want to join or enroll and do these programs, because this is a direct pathway. What we call BTech HND is the 2 years, the first 2 years of a degree program offered in UK. So any of you who are participating for today's session, who wants to go and complete your higher studies in either Sri Lanka or UK or Australia, you can enroll in these programs after the examination. I'm sure Alan will keep in touch with you regarding our intakes and also our upcoming webinars. The BTech HND program we are offering at AIBS has 3 streams: business management, accounting and finance, and then marketing. And I will quickly pass through all the messages and stuff. And this is the pathway that we are providing at AIBS. So for anyone who comes with O-level, they can join with the International Foundation in Business. And for you guys, after A-level, you can directly start the BTech HND. And if you are lucky enough to get selected into a state university, you can stop the process right here. This will serve you as a professional qualification. You can even work part-time. We are providing internships. And if you want to have double degrees, then of course you can, after completing your degree in a state university, you can come back and complete your international bachelor's with us. And hopefully you can then go on doing your master's. So this is a direct pathway. You can start right after A-levels, and you can see the program structure. And all of these modules are very up to date. And like I mentioned, we have 3 streams, and you can see business stream. These are your entire study period is divided into 4 semesters, and all of these topics, all of these modules that we are doing are all trending topics right now. So you are not learning a very old syllabus, 10 to 15 years old syllabus. All of these are up to date, trending one. In another 5 to 6 years of time, this will all be changed. So what you have to do after you have completed your A-levels is to identify your passion, whether you want to work in the business management sector, or you want to pursue accounting and a finance career, become an accountant, become an auditor, or you are interested in marketing, because marketing, digital marketing, this is also one of the trending areas right now. So identify your passion, take your time after your examination, do a little bit of research. Alan, you can always count on him to help identify what would be the ideal pathway for you. And you can always visit our institute. We are ready to meet you physically or virtually. And then you can decide what to do after your examination. So I'm not going to go on and keep on explaining about the program. Right now, you need to focus on exam, because even in order to get enrolled with our programs, you need to pass your advanced level and get a minimum of 3 simple passes. I'm pretty sure all of you will be scoring more than that, but that's the minimum entry requirement. So I will play a short video giving a feedback from one of our existing students, which will give you a summary about the institute and the program that we are conducting.
Hi, I'm Senali Karunanayake. After my A-levels, I wanted to pursue my higher studies in business management. So I started off with an HND in business at AIBS School of Business. So far, the experience has been really amazing. The teachers are very supportive and understanding. First, we started off online lectures due to the pandemic, but now we have managed to attend physical lectures, abiding to all the safety measures. So if you are also a student like me who wants to pursue your higher studies in business, I recommend you to join AIBS School of Business.
All right, that's what I wanted to mainly communicate. But after this session, I think we will create a WhatsApp group where all of you can communicate with our team as well as Mr. Dulip. So we will keep in touch, guys, because we are planning to launch another certificate program called Business Essentials in March for anyone who wants to become an entrepreneur, who wants to get into the business law sector. We are trying to develop a certificate program which you can complete fully online, and at the end of the program we will discuss certain case studies in identifying real world scenarios happening in business management, marketing and account sector. So I think that will be a good opportunity for you guys as well. And further communication will be done by Mr. Allen. Please keep in touch with him even after the session. And once again, I want to thank Mr. Dulib for joining us to organize this session and doing a wonderful job by getting all these students together. Thank you very much for for your great service, Mr. Dulib, and thanks everyone who have participated this session. I know it's a Sunday, but thanks for joining with us, and I wish you all the very best for your upcoming examination. Thank you very much.
Right, Puta. Putala. Right. So I'm starting now. Are you ready to start? Got the break? Body break එකක් ගත්තනේ shape එකේ පටන් ගමු. ඉක්මනට මම ඉවර කරන්න. හරි? Right. Oh, good. Right. My පුතාලට මාව ඇහෙනවද something happened? පුතාලට මාව ඇහෙනවද මාව පේනවද something happened?
Now it's good, Mr. Dulib. I think there was a small
yeah, it happens.
interference. Yeah, now it's good.
Right. Okay. Right. My putala, now this is where you should write it, right? Question number 7 under that answer, few points we need to write here. Okay, how our external sector got affected? First, sharp decline in export earnings and import expenditure. Next, decline in workers' remittances with return of some migrant workers. So the first one is mainly our trade balance, balance of payment, now worker remittances. It is the highest or the largest foreign exchange inflow into our country. Very important, Puta. Cessation of tourist arrivals and decrease in foreign exchange inflows we earn through that source. Cessation of tourist arrivals. Next, significant financial outflows away from the Sri Lankan economy. The foreigners who had invested money in Sri Lankan businesses withdrew their funds. Cessation means put a stop or kind of a halt, going down, decrease. Cessation is that. Good. Significant financial outflows away from Sri Lankan economy. Then put a sharp volatility. Volatility means put a ups and downs. Mainly is downward direction. Sharp volatility in exchange rate, decrease in external reserve assets. Our external value of the rupee goes down because rupee depreciates, but the dollar appreciates. Right? Now I can remember at times when I studied, right? We used, for examples, $1 equals 96 rupees, 95 rupees. Now, if I use those examples, you would laugh at me, say that, what are you doing, sir? Now the dollar is almost like 197, 198, 200 rupees. That's the thing, right? And we lost external reserve assets. That has become one of the biggest limitations, biggest problems the Sri Lankan government has been dealing with. No reserve assets and loss of many jobs of people who were involved with this external sector, tourism especially. බලන්න පුතේ නේද? So our export earnings, worker remittances, and they return home, so we don't get incomes from them anymore, right? And tourist arrivals went down, neda putte. And financial outflows, Sri Lanka investors got their money back. Very good question. One student asked how our import expenditure. Our import expenditure decreased. That requires an explanation. Our import expenditure decreased in 2019 little bit. But after that, by the end of 2000, sorry, by the beginning of, from the beginning of 2020, import expenditure started increasing. Because vaccinations and many other things, because we couldn't produce, so we had to import. So after that, import expenditure increased. Very good question. Then I was explaining what, yeah, sharp volatility in exchange rate and our external reserve assets decreased, and people lost their jobs and they were involved in the external sector. Harada putte. Good. Impacts of COVID-19 on external sector. So remember, although I cover these parts now, how these can be shown in PPCs, production possibilities frontier, right? How this can be explained in aggregate demand, aggregate supply curves, many things. So I'm just providing you the background information based on the theme or the topic that I have decided to explain, right? It's up to you to think in broader ways and finding the relationships. Okay, my puta, right? Oh, good. Yes, yes. At the moment, the largest foreign inflow source is remittances. I will give a note on that later. Right. Question number 9. Briefly explain major fiscal stimulus given by the government during year 2019. Now, actually, I expected this question in the last year, but it was not given, right? So normally, from an A-level paper, right, the topical events are tested, right? Read the question. Briefly explain the major fiscal stimulus given by the government during year 2019. And I included 2020 also, to support the recovery of the Sri Lankan economy affected by COVID-19. So we had a recession, and we can see it for the first time in last 10, I mean, after 2001. What do you think in 2020 economic growth rate? Positive or negative? 2019 we had positive. What about 2020? Positive or negative? Put on negative economic growth, which means a kind of a recession. Negative economic growth rate means we experienced a recession. So now we need a recovery. Now we need a recovery. Very good. So now how that recovery was supported by the government, right, Pute? For that, I want you to look at the content of the tut, right? Please read the answer given in the tutorial. I'll show you. Right? So all these things, 2090, sometimes this would be quite important for you because this is the year for you, right? 5,000 rupee cash grant for low income and vulnerable families, 500 rupee million COVID-19 related expenses, and changing VAT and other kinds of taxes and VAT exemptions. You can write these together, right? And I mentioned earlier Agrahara Insurance, right? And Samurdhi low-income families were given immediate issuance of title certificates, and the fund, COVID-19 fund, and procurement of bills, purchasing of fertilizer. Fertilizer is a big issue now, right? And small and medium scale contractors, because they wanted money, but the government had not paid. So government had to allocate 5 billion rupees to do that. And again, 10 billion to settling arrears of government to private institutions on account of purchasing pharmaceuticals. So major measures taken by the government. So remember, I started the today's lesson by showing you real A-level questions. So you read, you saw that what kinds of questions. I showed you there are 4 kinds of questions: theoretical, numerical, statistical, practical. I told you in this today's lesson or session, I can't cover theoretical or numerical questions. What I would be covering instead, statistical and practical questions. Okay, Puta, I'm moving faster, okay, because I want to finish this well. And measures taken in year 2020 are these. Right? Actually, this was tested in last year as well. Initially, we had a what on account. What on account is a temporal solution when the government doesn't have a budget or appropriation act approved. What on account, with what on account, government can change only expenses, and it is valid maximum 3 to 4 months. Big changes can't be made. What on account? තේරුණාද මගේ පුතේ? දැන් බලන්න රත්තරන් හොඳට අහගන්න පාඩම අහගන්න ඕන. Personal income tax rates. Now earlier personal income tax rates were slabbed into 5-6 groups. Now only three classes. Okay, it was simplified: 6%, 12%, 18%. Personal income tax rate slabs, threshold we say. Then corporate income tax was lowered from 28 to 24%, Puta. The decrease in the corporate income taxes, because companies also found it difficult to pay the 28% tax. And removal of withholding tax. Withholding tax is very popular when you have a bank account, and in that the interest that you earn from the money you have saved in the bank, you get that interest added to your bank account back, and that interest income is taxed. That tax is called withholding tax, and government removed it. And economic service charge, I think you have heard of this. It's a special form of a tax that also was removed, will be imposed. And registration of VAT. Earlier, Puta, businessmen, when their sales were 12 million per annum, they had to got registered. They got registered under the VAT. But now it's not 12 million; it's 300 million. So it's increased. So now small business persons, where their sales are less than 300 million, don't have to pay. They don't have to get registered for VAT. And many students had asked me, sir, what is the meaning of cess tax? This is the meaning: commodity export subsidy scheme. Mekata tamai puthe cess tax kiyala kiya. Commodity export subsidy scheme. It was revised. And there was a levy called debt repayment levy, which means when we settle loans that we have taken from the bank back to bank, we have to pay a small tax. That also was removed. Okay, mage putala chuttak ikmanta mata support එකක් දෙන්න ඕන දැන් හොඳේ පුතේ ikmanta. Quickly. No, budget proposals of 2020, Puta, they're too close. I don't think that they would be questioned. But for second paper, where you write your answers, you can write. If you have specific, accurate, reliable information, then Puta, you can definitely write those details. But I don't think that they would be asked for questions, because by that time, the paper making has been done, finished. අනේ නෑ පුතේ මීට වඩා සෙමිනා කරන්න බෑනේ පුතේ දැන් හෙට අපි නවත්තන්න එපා උගන්නන එක after 1st of January, sorry, 1st of February, we can't do classes. Online then only some category of we can do it secretly, but that's not nice neither. So I would be stopping doing my classes, but I have other ways of treating the students, but seminars wage deval karanna vela naha puthe adin passe. Right? Next, can I change? Mama yanna deya ilanga prashneta. Huh? Right. Right. Good. Question number 10. Briefly explain how the Central Bank of Sri Lanka implemented an accommodative monetary policy. Now, why I'm targeting this, in the last 2 years, we did not see any timely or statistical practical question in money banking topic. Right? So this is kind of, now I would anticipate this question. Accommodative monetary policy. Right. Okay, I have given this answer. Putala balan. Now, accommodative monetary policy means Puta, Central Bank of Sri Lanka in year 2019 used it. You can call it easy monetary policy aimed at, lowering interest rate, but increasing credit capacity and money stock. So you can call this accommodative monetary policy as easy monetary policy, or you can call this Puta expansionary monetary policy. Then that can expansionary monetary policy. May words ek product familiar when no mage pute, okay. You have to show your knowledge, right? So learn how to present, use the right words, right combination of words, right? And link your answers logically, communicate something. Okay, good. Right, now this is basically Puta accommodative monetary policy. Very good. Now during 2019-2020, right? So anyway, CBSL has been increasing money supply because the government needed to do it. Because anyway, we did not have a good economy, right? Our economy was sluggish because of what happened after bond scam, because our financial market faced massive blows, right? So you can see Puta all the rates, standing lending facility rate, standing deposit facility rate lowered, right? And to improve financial market liquidity, lowering. Now when I say 2019 Puta, it's basically 2019 and some part of 2020, right? And lowering SRR, statutory reserve ratio, right? And other policy rates reduced, and ceiling on lending and deposit rates, right? The most important thing is not this, but this. What happened in 2020, right? Now, so the monetary policy stance throughout 2020 focusing on growth, recovery, stability. On noy vachana tuna mataka tiyaganna puluwanda? Mataka tiyaganna puluwanda? Puluwanna balanna. Girls කියන වචන මතක තියාගන්න බලන්න. Girls. පුළුවන්නේ? Girls කියන වචන මතක තියාගන්න පුළුවන්නේ? බැයිද? Good. Bye. Then after writing this, cut I. Put in America. Cut I. Cut L. Growth, recovery, stability. Matakai doy wachana tuna. Growth, recovery, stability. Right? Right. Good. Use of tools. Now I will explain. You need to complete, right? Impacts on markets, expected impact on the economy. Right. Now, what happened in 2020? Look at this. You don't need to write this. This has been given in the tube, right? Lowering policy rates. Lowering statutory reserve ratio. Policy rates means what? Policy rates means mainly standing deposit facility rate and standing lending facility rate lowered. And bank discount rate lowered. And CBSL purchased government securities so that CBSL could pump money into the financial market, and as a result, financial market liquidity will increase. Banks will get new reserves. People will get more money to spend, buy, consume, invest. And interest rate cap was set for credit cards, owning facilities, bank OD, mortgage-backed loans. Concessional loan schemes like Saubhagya, COVID-19 Renaissance, Comprehensive Rural Credit Scheme, and moral suasion. These were implemented. Right? Yes, Puta. Actually, the aim is to expand the money supply, making the market more liquid. Okay, right. Since these are there in the tube, Harada Puta, I'm moving forward. And impacts on markets. Impacts on markets, write down now. When the government used the monetary policy tools in that way, how would the monetary policy got affected? Decline in market interest rates. Market interest rates went down, right? Surplus in market liquidity. And private sector got more loans, credit. And they got more good like expectations. Expectations play a massive role in economic behavior. This is why we started listing expectations since chapter 2. It was a part of the demand function. It is a part of the supply function. And expectations affect the current decisions we have been taking. So the government knows, the policymakers know. So they wanted to create, form good expectations so that people would start thinking of the optimistic side rather than dwelling on the pessimistic side. Okay, Puta? My Puta lata logically terenawada mahansi athi neda chuttai tawa. Right. Online classes ikmanta boring wenawa mama dannawane ma tamai. But chuttak vela inda math ekka honde. I'm trying my best ne paune mama. Let me finish it well. Expansion in private sector, formation of expectations. Right? Good. Market interest rates decrease, market liquidity got a surplus, and private sector got more credit, and expectations, positive expectations were reinforced. Can I change? Can I go to the next one? Good. Yeah, money. Mama is slow here. Right, good. 2020 expected impacts on the economy. What? I told you. Girls GRC. Make a pilivalta deal ne. Growth. GRS no. Girls ne. G. Growth, recovery, stability. Among girls. Growth, recovery, stability. Okay. Recovery, economic growth, and stability. Recovery, we have to use the word recovery because we had a recession. And during the recession, anyway, we had to grow. And anyway, the growth should have a strong, stable foundation. Right, right. Good. Very good. Next, question number 11. Briefly explain the preferential trade agreements that are in force currently and explain the main trading partners and trade composition and the main export product related to them. So I'm basically asking whether you know the currently implemented preferential trade agreements. Since you have got the tutorials, Pute, this table is there, right? And in that I have mentioned trading partners and major products, right? Make a hondata balaganna me table එක පුතාලා විභාගයට යන්න කලින්, okay? Because it's important so that you have a basic understanding what kinds of products we export and mostly to what countries. Okay, Puta? Right, good. Good. Now we need to write down the names of the preferential trade agreements only, and the table has another part that you can find in the next page. Okay, right. So write down number 1, GSP and GSP plus with European Union. General system of preferences, general system of preferences with European Union, EU. Second, Indo-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement. Indo-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement. Third, Asia Pacific Trade Agreement, APTA. I have given the names of the countries, the main products, everything. So you just write down now the names of the agreements. PTA, Preferential Trade Agreements. Generalized System of Preferences, GSP can ekai pute, okay? In the Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement, Asia Pacific Trade Agreement. BIMSTEC is a different one. It's a different one, right? Hari. Right. Number 4, Pakistan Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement. Pakistan Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement. So we study this as a part of international economic cooperation, right? And the main trade agreements, trade blocks, trade agreements, right? There's a part in the syllabus. And South Asian Free Trade Area and Singapore Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement. And in that we can see SAPTA, South Asian Preferential Trade Agreement. You can write this also, no problem. South Asian, this is Free Trade Area. This is Preferential Trade Agreement. I can give you the names for the GSP plus, General System of Preferences, right? In the Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement number 2 and Asia Pacific Trade Agreement APTA. Yes, they can ask kind of port city and how it would help the Sri Lankan economy, right? So if a port city like this, you can basically think, right, you know, foreign investments, Sri Lankans might get jobs, right? And banking, various services can be expanded, right? In that line of thinking, you can develop your answer. Please be creative, okay? You all have got common sense. So when the memory does not support you, use common sense. Use your life's experiences. Use your imagination, right? Good. Can I? Maru karannada? Pawwane ogollo monawa karannada ithin neda? Huh? Good. I understand, you know, looking at a screen now, I know how difficult it is. Explain the importance of worker remittances as a source of foreign exchange inflow in Sri Lankan balance of payment. Worker remittances. Mage putala kiyanna, worker remittances are recorded where in the BOP? Kiyanna balanna mata, balance of payment, worker remittances are recorded where? Very good, very good. Niyamai. In the current account, there is a part called secondary income. Secondary income. Either. That's all we can call it current transfer. Secondary income account. What is the double entry? When we receive worker, very good, Mohammed. Niyamai Puta. When we receive worker remittances, what is the double entry? Double entry. Sir, මොකද්ද සර් ඔය අහන්නේ? Double entry එකක් තියෙනව නේද? ඒක අහන්නේ අනේ. මොකද double entry? කියන්න බලන්න. Very good. That secondary income account නේද පුතේ? Secondary income account is a current account. It's credited. And currency and deposit account, that is debited, because we get an asset here. Increase in revenue, credit. Increase in an asset, debit in currency and deposit. Niyamai. That is theoretical. That is theoretical. Okay, good. Currency and deposits. This is a part of other investments in financial account. Now, this is a part of what? Other investment account. And other investment is a part of what? Financial account. And secondary income is a part of what? Current account. This is theory, okay? Theory. Theory. Reserve asset account, puta. Reserve asset account, basically, I would suggest you to write currency and deposits, because this is where the most of these foreign exchange inflows and outflows takes place. So better to write this down. Okay, can affect reserve assets in the end, but this is where the transaction takes place. Double entry takes place. Harda Manika. Okay, good. Right. So importance. Please write this down. Get the tune. Question number 12. And the 4 points I show, you need to write one here and the other 3 here. 2, 3, the last one. Right? And there's a table. The table is this. Okay? Right. Importance of foreign remittances. Worker remittances is the largest single source. Balanna puta. Largest single source of foreign exchange inflow into Sri Lanka for last 10 years. Worker remittances. We thought it was tourism. We thought it was exporting apparel or tea. No, it's this. Remittances collect and increase the recipient's incomes and generate increase in Sri Lanka's foreign exchange reserves. So it had a big impact on increasing Sri Lanka's foreign exchange reserves. Remittances are more certain compared to other forms of foreign exchange inflows. You know, our now export, apparel export revenue, tea export revenue, tourism, they are highly volatile, which means changing. But Pute, remittances are relatively more certain until COVID. Even after COVID, you know, in these days, remittances are increasing now. And the CBSL really expects remittances to grow. Right? It is one of their assumptions in making the current policies. Remittances lower poverty. Remittances lower poverty and income inequality and raising standard of living of people. Worker remittances. And worker remittance revenue as a percentage of GDP, puta. 1981 to 2000, it was just 5.7% of GDP. But 2001 to 2020, it grew 8%. But this is not enough. It is because last 6 years, remittances started going down a little bit. Last 6 years. Hari neda mage pute. I understand you, okay, although I asked you to write faster. I definitely know the pain that you are going through at the moment, right? But this is the only way of giving something to you, right? That's why I just want your cooperation, even though it's painful. I understand it. Fatima, how can I do that, darling, in this session? Sorry. Right. Question number 13. Name major projects the Sri Lankan government financed with foreign borrowing in recent years. Okay, possible question. Major projects. Extension of Southern Expressway project. I'm giving you only a small list, okay? Then COVID-19 emergency response and health system preparedness project. This was mainly funded by World Bank Group. And new bridge construction project over the Kalani River. Right? Names are there. Next, pute second integrated road investment program. Procurement of diesel multiple units for upcountry line, and Indian government supported the restoration of Northern Railway services. So projects. So these are good projects, but the thing is, the real benefit the general public doesn't get because funding is mismanaged most of the time. You know the reasons. That's why you earlier mentioned when I asked whether we have corruption in Sri Lanka, you said yes. Hell yes answers. Question number 14. The last question. Briefly explain gig economy and its influences. Have you heard of this? Gig? What? This is part of national accounting though. Gig economy is an economy where freelancers, consultants, independent contractors, professionals, temporary contract workers exist in the labor market, unlike traditional, 9-to-5 workers. Now, even I myself a gig employee these days. Yes, gig. Right? This is derived from, music terminology, right? Gig musicians, freelancers, consultants, independent contractors. And people want to be gig because they can work from the place where they live. They can earn while searching for jobs. They can achieve work-life balance. Some, it is the only way of earning an income because they are too old to work or too young to work or to, sometimes they can't work under another person directly. Or they can earn an additional income. Right? Okay. No, Abdul. Investors la pute make you can't. Investors means they formally, but some investors may be falling under that. Basically, these people earn wages and salaries. Investors earn pute interest. No? Okay, right. Consultation fees. Okay, right. Next, challenges. Now we have certain challenges, which means how GDP is calculated, how the gig employee welfare, and how to have their social security contributions. They are everywhere. We can't find from there. We have been working. And how to tax them? We don't know who they are, so how to tax them, right? And we can't do proper labor market surveys. And system of national accounts, especially income approach, gross value addition. This can't be found in mixed incomes or other forms of gross operating surplus. Hard to find. And price indices, very difficult, right? Gig means basically, no, they are not traditional, freelancers. So not self-employed. They are employees, but non-traditional. That's the meaning. Right. Let me explain the remaining parts. Recent statistics. Page number 1. I have given all the statistics for chapter 5, national accounting, chapter 7, money banking, general price level, central bank and monetary policy, and public sector. And also international trade lesson, international finance lesson, economic growth and development lesson, and Sri Lankan economy and global economy. And you can find these details national accounting pute neda manika national accounting wala mama dila kinawa mewa mage putala balanna tube එක composition of GDP under output approach, income approach, expenditure approach, and per capita income detail, GDP size, investment ratio, domestic savings ratio, national savings ratio. Mam putalata එකක් පෙන්නන්නම්, okay, so that you know how to refer. tube එක බලන විදිය පුතාලා දැනගන්න එපයි. මේ බලන්න. Look at this, right? This is called the output approach. We get agricultural sectors value addition, industrial sectors value addition, service sectors value addition. The sum of these three we call gross value added at basic price. And to that we add taxes less subsidies. Now with that we can say GDP at market price. But I have given here not the figures. I have given here the percentages, right? 2019 ka mang highlight karanna 7, 26.4, 57.4, taxes plus subsidies 9.2. And that's how you get GDP. Output approach, right? Next, income approach. Some students don't understand this. Compensation of employees, net operating surplus, mixed income, consumption of fixed capital, other taxes less subsidies. When you get this, we can call that puta again gross value added at basic price. Gross value added at basic price, right? And these three, net operating surplus, mixed income, consumption of fixed capital, we can call it gross operating surplus with mixed income a part of it. And once taxes less subsidies adjusted to it, we call it the GDP at market price. That is the income approach. I have given the percentages. You can see the largest value comes from net operating surplus in Sri Lanka. In other countries, it's employee compensation. In Sri Lanka, net operating surplus. It says we have a big, right? No. You don't need to know the statistics. Statistics basically balagan non largest something like that, right? Here the largest is services sector, 57.4. Right. And you can go through the remaining parts here, right? And for chapter 7, I have included inflation rates by different price indices, changes in policy rates, growth rates of money supply, and information about money multiplier and velocity. Not theoretical information, but statistical and practical information. Under competency 8, I have included this general fiscal statistics, government revenue statistics, government expenditure statistics, government debt statistics. Can be questioned. Please refer. Please refer. Competency number 9, international trade. I have given export composition of Sri Lanka, import composition of Sri Lanka, export and import price indices, and terms of trade changes, commodity terms of trade. Terms of trade is the concept to find out whether we are winning or losing in the game of international trade. It depends on export price index and import price index. Details are there, Magipute. Okay. 2019 figures give the priority, but 2020, that I don't know. Because when we made papers for school, we included 2020 figures. Both myself and my fellow teachers, we did, just to keep our students prepared for that. Right? Recent statistics of competency 10, international finance, I included this. Major balances of balance of payment, current account, or starting from trade balance, net exports, current account, right? And major export destinations. Major import origins, from there we import most. And adequacy of external reserves. For now, we know only 4.2 months of external reserves are adequate. And finally, Magipute, effective exchange rate. When effective exchange rates appreciate, depreciate, it can have certain effects, right? So I have used here 24 country weighted average effective exchange rate, nominal effective and real effective both, right? Recent statistics on competency 11, I would be very specific here. I have included growth rates and explanations, Sri Lankan economic growth rate, especially it's minus, why it became minus, and human development index and Sri Lankan performance, the reasons, population details, the size of the population growth rate, dependency ratio, and age structure, poverty details, poverty headcount index, and very specially multidimensional poverty index details have been attached to the TUT. Income inequality, the latest Gini coefficient, right? And the sectorial wise, rural, urban, state sectors, labor force, employment, unemployment figures I included. පුතාලට බැලුවොත් ගොඩ යන්න පුළුවන්. අද ඒටම බලන්න ඕනේ නැහැ, විභාගේ ලඟ වෙලා දවස් 2කට 3කට කලින් හොඳට බලන්න. හරි? Right. And competency 12, Sri Lankan economy and global economy, global economic growth rates and global economic growth forecasts, and the global economic challenges. I included this. Okay. So this is regarding the multiple choice question paper that I made, covering all these things, right? 50 questions, and the link will be sent to you by 8 p.m. today. Shehan and Alan, can you do that?
Yes, just for the information, students, I'll be sending them through email. So please refer to the emails. It will be easy, no?
Okay, Puta, you will be sent this link to your email addresses, right? So you will find that. And you must submit your answers before 10 a.m. tomorrow. Then by 10:30, I will send you marks and your results. Okay, then. Are you happy? Did you get something? Right? Okay, then. May God bless you. Do your best, right? Make everybody proud and happy. God bless you. Bye.
So thank you, Dulip sir. The points were like really valuable and topics were really on point. Like I want to especially thank you for making this research, and it's like make this approach very simple. So the approach is really excellent, and you are really gifted to like explaining multiple ways and like to give them a clear concept and theories. So I hope all the students will like remember each and every point given by yourself. For students, like I'll drop my number in the chat box if you have any questions regarding this session. If you don't have a proper plan in what to do after A levels, like AIBS will always be ready to help you to successfully pursue your higher studies in all possible ways. we'll keep in touch even apart from economics. If you have any other regarding other subjects or anything, please be kind enough to drop me a text. I'll be more than happy to help all of you. So thank you all the students who joined with us today, and I hope you will be very successful in your examinations. Once again, thank you so much, Dulip sir, for helping me throughout this seminar to help these students like get a good grading in the exams which they will be facing next month. Thank you, Dulip. So thank you so much.
I think after after these A-levels, you have to look after these kids and show them the right way. Okay.
Yes, yes, sure.
Education is not only for money or profits. You have to show them, and then that's the proper guidance. I think then you can be really happy.
Yeah.
Right. Just
and they should get the
guide
proper
them
quality
towards
also.
the right ends, so that they will win their lives and make everybody happy and make a massive value addition to this country and to this world. Okay, that is
Yes.
right. Okay.
So thank you so much, Dulip sir, once
God
again.
bless.
May God bless you.
Thank you, Dulip sir. Thank you,
God bless.
Alan, and
Bye.
thanks all the
Bye today. God
participants.
bless.
Thank you. Bye. God bless.
Exam එක කරන්න පුතාලා. Exam එක කරන්න. Bye. God bless. Alan, mama leave වෙන්නද පුතේ?